Scene 5. All four walking down the street, slightly worse for the wear. Gruber leans on Auer.
I'm getting too old for this.
What kind of fearless leader are you? Too old for a bar fight.
Too old to lose a bar fight, Earhart. My ribs are broken. I'm docking your pay. For what? Starting a brawl. Preaching to the choir. Hackneyed use of alliteration. Take your pay.
That speech was a masterwork. It was worthy of Cicero. Anyway, Julius started it.
Edmund threw the first punch. Actually, that was Herr Capitan.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
There is a motion on the floor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. The devil will take Herr Capitan.
Gulshag and Zerfoss exit. Auer helps Gruber to his seat.
Oh, what a night. Was it true you really took on those thugs by yourself?
I sure did. Sent them running like rabbits, too.
You're an idiot, Earhart. I love you, but you're just flat out stupid sometimes. Walking home alone like that, you know how things are.
It's not that.
The hell it isn't. You know the kinds of things we write, and you just finished mocking some very angry men for not trying hard enough to assassinate you.
What do you want, Martin?
I want you to use one of the boys.
Please, they've got more important things to do.
Earhart, other papers call them the Hour Guard. Like it or not, you're a figurehead. And to believe you're not a target or that your death would be a minor affair requires a naivete I never thought you possessed.
I've never seen you walking home with a bodyguard.
That's because I work later than you do. Look, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Before you go out at night, make a call. Walk home with one of the boys.
I don't want to waste their time.
No, most of these boys idolize you. They leap on the chance to see you home.
Like they're taking me to the movies.
Just do it, Earhart. I can't have you dead in the street. Then I'd have to deal with the junior reporters.
Scene 6. Gruber at his desk. He hangs up the phone. Whatever call he's just finished isn't making his head feel any better. And by the tenderness with which he moves to the door, his ribs aren't doing great either.
Russian, get in here.
Gulshag enters.
Yes, Herr Gruber?
Sit down. Actually, no. You keep standing. I'll sit down.
Gruber sits.
Care to tell me what the hell that was last night?
Sir,
I'll tell you what the hell it was. Reckless, stupid, poorly timed. And don't sir me. I look like a damn colonel to you?
I noticed a few parallels, yes.
I don't mind your lip question. In fact, that's what I pay you for. Not, mind you, your fists. The war's over.
There's some who'd beg to differ, sir.
I know. But we need this unrest, conflict, whatever it is. It needs to stop. And I'd prefer to avoid battle lines being drawn through Berlin.
I understand. I thought it seemed like Herr Auer was trying to start a fight.
Well, he was shaken up. He made a bad call. Or rather, he could have made a better one. Still, he didn't throw a punch. He threw words.
But Julius...
And Julius threw a stein. I know. I'll be having words with him next. Earhart's doing a very tricky balancing act, trying to control the way this is being fought. The fascists aren't as large as we are, but they've got a lot more veterans, angry veterans, particularly. Whereas we've got people like, well, like Julius and Auer. We won't beat them with please and thank you, but neither will we win with trench knives and body blows. Last night should have proved that to you.
You lot were pretty awful to fight.
You're lucky I'm not in my prime, or you'd be eating those words. At any rate, you'd have to chew them over a bit. Gulshag, keep at it, huh? Remember, words are your weapons now.
I will, Herr Gruber. Thank you.
Gulshag exits.
In there.
What? What'd I do this time?
Scene 7. Gulshag's tape recorder.
I never entirely fit in at the Post. They were the writers, not me. That is, I was a writer by title, and eventually by trade, but it was the rest of them, especially Auer and Julius. Our philosopher and the poet. They were the writers by nature. I could hack out a paragraph when called to do so, but never with Auer's insight or Julius's grace. Julius wasn't a poet as I had thought of them. No moody pretension about him. I had expected a frail, sensitive soul, misusing large words to show the depth of his spiritual pain, but Julius... Reporting involves a lot of waiting. Waiting for contacts to call, waiting for the presses to open, waiting for the mail, the telegraph, the other papers. When we had time to kill, you could usually see Julius at his desk, a pad of paper in his hand. He'd stare out his window, and his pen would jot out odes of couplets. Never looked at them until they were finished. Poems about trees in spring or lakes on a calm day, and he'd always write them while staring out his window at the brick wall next door. But I couldn't talk like Julius, or reason like Our. They were at home in the newsroom, but it choked me like gunsmoke. I had to get out of the office, keep moving, keep digging. As a boy, I was fixated on the water. I used to spend most of my time sitting beside a stream, listening to it burble, watching a lake lap its shores. Best thing I knew. When I'm in silence, I think, I worry. Next to water, though, I can't keep a thought in my head. They just skitter away out to sea. It was what I missed during the war. The only water there was fetid, still. The closest it came was rainfall on our line of helmets. Not much, but enough. Little moments of sanity. So when I felt stifled, I always ended up at the banks of the Isar. That night I sat beneath an elm.
Bolshak sits. He pulls a cigarette from his pocket and lights it furtively. Instead of relaxing him, each drag makes him more nervous. He stops.
Still can't smoke at night. Keep telling myself there's no ciphers, but fear's a funny thing. There's a crowd. Somewhere on the other side. Can't see them, but there's a faint roar. Electric hum of loudspeakers.
He stands.
What the hell? Finding it was more difficult than I expected. Sounds moved strangely in those alleys. You know, if there were a sniper, I'd be doomed. No way I'd find the muzzle flash in time. I round a corner and there they are. 300-400 people. Mad as hell. Footlights and blood-red banners. The only thing the crowd had in common was rage. At France, at Britain, at the direction of the Republic, the price of bread. It was chaotic energy and it danced in time to the speaker.
They ask us to change our ways, to grovel at the feet of Europe. And your leaders in the Reichstag agree.
His words acted like a spell.
Why should we be made to follow the dictates of lesser nations? Because cowards in their universities had no stomach for the fight. Because they abandoned the philosophies that made Germany great.
But whether he was their master or slave, there was no way to tell.
It was a German monk who ended the corruption of Rome. It was German printing presses that put Bibles on every mantle.
It struck me as nothing so much as a pit bull holding its own jaws.
And for 1,000 years, everywhere was the righteous might of Germany respected
The chaos
and feared.
sharpened with his speech, disparate shouts became cohesive.
As a German nation, we are strong. Under atheists and immigrants, we, the German people, beg for bread.
It was terrifying and awe-inspiring.
Let us send a message that we will not abandon our country, though our country has abandoned us. We will rebuild it as we once did. And Germany will tower over Europe for 1,000 years!
Eruption, cheers and chants.
Wow, he's so right.
He makes some interesting arguments.
I know. I've never thought about things like that. But it makes a lot of sense. I'm Alfred.
Ulrich.
You're not from around here, are you?
Guilty as charged. Grew up in Brandenburg.
Russian. Remind me not to piss you off. Still have a bit of the accent there. Have you been to one of these before?
No! Just passing by. I thought I'd take a listen.
A group of us are heading down to the pub afterwards. New faces are always welcome.
Scene 8. Zerfoss in the office, writing.
Poetry or reporting
Reporting, Herr Gruber.
Liar. As long as it's on my desk by morning, I'm going home.
Good night, sir.
Wilshog enters.
Oh, pass me a pitcher and sing me a song, do, my lady, do. My heart says you're pretty, but hearts can't be wrong, do, my lady, do.
Fun night.
I put down my pitcher if you ask me to dance, do, my lady, do. Love isn't dice, I don't leave it to chance, do, my lady, do.
Do you mind? I'm trying to write.
Oh. Are imaginary trees not inspiring your artistic soul? Don't worry. I'm sure Gruber will understand. I mean, you finished your articles, right? You haven't. Better get cracking. Won't do to disappoint.
At least I've been in the office and not out getting drunk.
I'll have you know, I was out getting drunk with not-so-rednecks, which makes it, you know, research.
You were out drinking.
You heard me. Maybe Al will reimburse me.
So what happened?
Well, you know how it is. You walk across a rally, get invited to post-racism drinks. Next thing you know, you're listening to drunken redneck gossip.
That sounds awful. I hope you weren't buying.
Of course I was. I'll remind you, I was raised a gentleman. Anyway, it was fascinating in a perverse kind of way. Hitler's a movie star to these kids. I sat next to him on the bus. He said he spent the weekend staying with my uncle. He lived with our uncle for a lake at our lake house. On and on and on. I'm listening to them brag about all the people they know who've hosted this scumbag.
I really am trying to do some real work.
Let me ask you one question, and you can tell me if I've been working.
Fine.
What does our dear Adolf do?
Incite violence and give me headaches.
No, for a living. What does he do for a living? Exactly. So who pays for his cars, his food and fancy beer? The man of the people lives in the lap of luxury, but on whose dime?
Edmund, that's beautiful.